Hello guys, today I am going to continue the story of the Beast Tamer. In the previous episode, we saw how Rain was kicked out the hero party for being weak. Later he met Kanade and Tania. He made a contract with them and gained super strength and magic abilities. On the other hand, Hero Party realized how useful Rain actually was, and decided to recruit him again, only to expel him later. On the way, Rain encountered the hero, and now a confrontation is going to happen. So let's get into it. As Rain is walking down a road and reflecting on his current lifestyle with Tania and Kanade, Rain and company are confronted by Arios and his group. Arios gives a sarcastic greeting to them, and Rain immediately suggests they take a different route. Arios speaks some disparaging remarks, so Kanade and Tania step in to defend their master. Tania then questions Arios' group's identity as that of the hero party. Disliking Tania's tone, Arios tries to rebuke her, but realizes that she and Kanade are, respectively, a dragonoid and cat spirit, which shock Arios' party as their Rhinestane monsters. Rain asks what business they have for him, and Arios claims that due to the difficulty of the Lost Woods, they had to withdraw from it. Hence, Arios offers an olive branch to Rain, allowing him to rejoin his group despite his uselessness. Agath, Leanne, and Mina then all comment that Rain should be grateful for them, allowing him to rejoin their group. However, Rain refuses their offer, but Leanne tries to convince him, claiming a relic called the Shield of Truth located in the forest would allow them a fighting chance against the Demon King. Furthermore, Leanne mentions that monsters would swarm and attack settlements without that relic, which triggers memories of Rhine's past. Under pressure, Rain quietly agrees to it, and Arios' group chastises him for not accepting from the start. As Arios' group starts to walk off, both Kanade and Tania stop the hero party and demand that they properly apologize to Rain by groveling. The suggestion shocks the hero party, and Tania threatens to incinerate them with her breath if they don't voice their disdain at it. Grabbing Rain by the cuff of his collar, Arios demands that he keep his pets on a shorter leash, which the pet remark upsets Rain. However, Arios insists on it, and tries to make him confess that they're not his pets, but insinuates they're his lovers, causing Rain to punch Arios. With that, Arios challenges Rain and his tame monsters to a duel to see who is stronger, and Rain accepts it. In separate locations, Kanade faces off against Agath, Tania faces off against Mina and Leanne, and Rain faces off against Arios. Kanade's fight starts first, and Agath is happy that he has to fight against an ultimate species such as her, and Kanade vows to beat him up and make him apologize to Rain. On the other hand, Agath has no intention of doing so, hence, Kanade starts the fight with a quick and powerful kick, followed by a flurry of punches. Agath manages to defend against the attacks with his bros. Kanade then comments that Agath hasn't made a single move against her, which is surprising as he's part of the hero party. The remark triggers Agath, who finally counterattacks with his special move Hellfire and Brimstone Slash. However, Kanade easily deflects the attack. Furious by this turn of events, Agath proclaims he'll fight with his full strength, and Kanade proclaims she'll fight with half of her own. The revelation shocks Agath that Kanade hasn't been using even half of her strength thus far, and she quickly ends the fight with a single kick. Elsewhere, Tania faces off against Leanne and Mina, who openly claims she'd prefer fighting Arios than those two, because they're so weak. Tania's remark upsets the two mages, and they cast Gravity Burst and Holy Flare by snapping her hand. However, Tania dispels the attacks. Thus, Leanne and Mina respectively cast Judgment Arrow and Red Crimson again. Tania dispels the attacks with a snap of her fingers, and claims she used what is called Materia Canceller. Refusing to believe they're beaten, Mina and Leanne cast multiple spells against Tania. However, she dispels them with Materia Canceller. To finish things off, Tania casts the epic spell Ultimate End against the two, but it's a fake out, making them pass out. On Rhine's side, he faces off against Arios, who forces him back with his swift swordplay. Despite this, however, Rain only takes minor scratches from the attacks, and notes how underwhelming the pressure Ario is giving off compared to Tania. Rain then attacks Arios with a punch to the gut, which winded him, and Rain reveals that forming contracts with Kanade and Tania granted him newfound power. Utilizing the analytics he's gathered from his observations of Arios, and with the help of an Arby, Rain wins his fight against Arios. Moments later, Tania and Kanade rush to Rhine's side and embrace him. Later, Rain and his party arrive in the dark and dreary Lost Woods, where the Shield of Truth is said to be located at. A flashback reveals that after Ario's group was defeated by Rhines, they apologize for their misbehavior. Tanya also intimidates them into making their apology sound more sincere, and Rain accepts their apology. With that out of the way, Arios explains the Shield of Truth's current situation within a monster's hands in the Lost Woods. Despite Canade's and Tanya's rebukes of how Arios' tone of voice sounded as if he was still acting pompously, Rain agrees to accept the task. In the present, Rain assures his two companions of the importance of finding the Shield of Truth for Arios' group. To start their search, Rain assimilates with a bird forms by a temporary contract to scope out the area, leaving Canade and Tanya in charge of looking after his body. Immediately, Rain locates a pathway leading to their goal. But when they follow it, get lost despite taking the correct path. Tanya casts Material Search to investigate the surrounding area, and leads them to a tree emitting illusionary magic, where Tanya asks Canade to knock it down. Before Canade can, a disembodied voice demands they leave that place, and from the tree, a fairy appears before them. Although Rain tries to introduce himself and reveal his group's goal, the fairy refuses to listen, and warns them that she'll expel them from the forest if they don't leave. Heeding this warning, Rain, Canade, and Tanya flee back into the woods to discuss their encounter with the fairy. Canade recalls that a monster inhabits the tree, and Tanya suggests they still break down the tree to remove its illusionary barrier. However, Rain insists he visit and talk with the fairy alone. Approaching the fairy again, Rain tries to start a conversation with her, who threatens to hurt him if he doesn't leave. On the other hand, Rain accepts the threat as he's confident in his monster negotiation capability. As he said, Rain takes and is hurt by the fairy's illusion arrows, perplexing her as Ryan's actions contradict how she's known humans to act. Rain admits he's human and not all are the same, but the fairy sends off a second barrage of illusion arrows only for Canade and Tanya to protect Rain. Both of them then try and reason with the fairy, but get into an argument midway concerning how Canade's initial approach. Intrigued by the group, the fairy drops her hostility toward asking for Ryan's name. Rain reveals it to the fairy, who, in turn, introduces herself as Sora and agrees to listen to their plea. From their conversation with Sora, it's learned that the barrier blocks the entryway to the fairy village, and that our people protect the Shield of Truth. Learning the Shield of Truth was needed to defeat the Demon King, Sora fetches and gives it to Rain. Despite Ryan's offer to help her with anything, Sora flatly rejects it, noting she was merely following the ancient pact between the fairies and the previous hero. Once that was done, Canade and Tanya tried and leave, but Rain returned to Sora and asked what was bothering her. Hesitant to answer, Sora is coaxed by Rain, Canade, and Tanya to talk about her twin sister Runa and their job to protect and maintain the barriers that lead into the fairy village. All was well between the two until they exited the barrier for personal reasons and encountered a monster affiliated with the Demon King army. Rain then details that the monster Sora and her sister Runa encountered was called a Shadow Knight. Although weaker than an ultimate species like them, it has tricky characteristics, like magical nullification, making only physical attacks can harm it. Sora confirms it and continues her story where the Shadow Knight demanded that she lower the barrier, but in fear, she fled and was told by the leader to abandon Runa. Hearing Sora's plea, Rain vows to help and rescue Runa from the Shadow Knight, causing Sora to embrace Rain tearfully. Next scene, a flashback reveals Sora detailing the condition of Sora's release given by the Shadow Knight by lowering the barrier over the fairy village by sundown. Privy to this information, Ryan's group heads to the Shadow Knight's location, but refuses to allow Sora to tag along, as it'd break her deal with the monster. Reaching the Shadow Knight's location, Ryan's group finds it sitting on a throne with Runa, and immediately, Rain casts a fireball against it as a feint. It allows Canade and Rain to land a few blows against the Shadow Knight, who realizes that Sora sent Ryan's group, and then attacks Runa. However, Tanya protects, releases her from her captivity, and flees the scene carrying her away. After forming a temporary contract with some Arby's to act as a distraction, Rain casts Boost on Canade, who utilizes her bolstered power to defeat the Shadow Knight. After Ryan's explanation of the Boost spell to Canade, Tanya returns to them, still carrying Runa in her arms. Tanya also notes her perplexion about how Rain knew a powerful lost art, but he claims everyone in his village was privy to it. As Runa awakens, Rain informs her that Sora had asked them to rescue her, making Runa feel relieved. Afterward, Runa embraces Sora, and the two thank Ryan's group for their actions. A brief scene concerning Runa's crude thoughts about Rain and Sora's reprimanding of her sister occurs, leading Rain to believe they're polar opposites. Although Kanade had hoped Sora and Runa would return to their village, Sora notes that since Runa had been excommunicated from there, she wants to distance herself from there. Having no place to go or adequate knowledge of the outside world, Kanade invites the fairies to join them. Rain allows it and forms a contract with the two. Later that day, Rain meets the heroes' party so he could finish the quest to find and give to them the Shield of Truth, while his party secretly. However, Arios is flabbergasted how it took Ryan's group 2 days to retrieve the shield, and yet it took his own group 2 weeks. With Arios refusing to acknowledge the Shield of Truth was real, Rain suggests his group examine its authenticity. Leanne casts appraisal on it, who shocks everyone in her party that it's the genuine shield, and Arios notices the 2 new faces in Ryan's party. Not wanting to create a scene that 2 fairies are in a human settlement, Rain demands his quest reward and is given his 20 gold coin reward. Before Rain could once again sever ties with the hero's part, Agath stops him and asks if he'd be interested in rejoining the party. Despite Arios' agitation over the offer, Agath realizes the team's inadequacy without Ryan's support. Mina and Leanne both reluctantly agree with Agath's suggestion and asks if Rain would accept his offer. However, Rain refuses, as he's content with his current life. Once Rain had left, Agath, Mina, and Leanne opine their disdain for Rain refusing their offer, but Arios, who was still embittered by his defeat against Rain, has him agitated, who he vows to eliminate. Elsewhere, underneath a tree, Rain explains to his party about the legend of the first hero who defeated the Demon King. Apparently, only one with blood of the gods can be the hero, and have unrestrained potential called Limit Break to be capable of defeating the Demon King. Arios was though is fairly weak compared to Rain, and Sora notes that he could be the real hero, going on to explain his accomplishments by taming everyone in his party. Kanade then suggests that Rain should tame more spirits, which would grant him enough power to defeat the Demon King, and Tanya concurs. On the other hand, Rain declines, noting the responsibilities and how he's only managed to achieve everything thus far, thanks to their support. Although Rain doesn't completely dismiss the idea, as it's far too early to decide on such an endeavor. And that concludes today's video. I am left wondering whether Arios is truly the prophesied hero, or if there is a mistake in the prophecy. Could Rain be a backup plan created by the gods to defeat the Demon King? It's also intriguing that Ryan's village was comprised solely of skilled beast tamers, capable of controlling multiple beasts at once. This raises questions about Ryan's origin and race. Stay tuned for future episodes to learn more. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more content. Until next time.